see this guy here staring back at you? Yeah. It's your toughest opponent. Every time you get into the ring, that's who you're going against. I believe that in boxing, and I do believe that in life.
You are your own worst enemy. You waste precious time dreaming of the future instead of engaging in the present. Since nothing seems urgent to you, you're only half involved in what you do.
Oh, you know the truth. You know the truth. You know the darkness of the dungeons and the demons that fly. You know, and then from there, it's like, okay, you were there. You know this. There was no one there to pick up the rucksack, to pick up the boat, to pick up the log, to go in there. It was you. It was you. There was no pat on the at 300, at 275, at 250, at 220. No, that was you. So those things that come out of me, that extract from me in the darkness, people are looking for that pat on the back. Where is it? Oh, I don't need it.
So I think a lot of us have the battle of the other self, that we're the lesser version of ourself that we're trying to kill every single day. And so a lot of times we have this desire to point the blame finger externally, but wherever you point the finger of blame, power follows. And so whoever I blame for the life I have is the person who I give all the power over my existence, over my circumstances. And so it hurts, but if you turn the finger inwards and you start saying, I don't like my life. The person that I need to punish or get back at is the real person who got me here, which is me. And so you may be right that other people did certain things or you got dealt a bad hand. It also doesn't matter, because the only thing that you can't control is obviously the actions that you take. And the only person who's in control of that is you.
Here's how to get older without getting better. Keep relearning the same lesson. If you keep making the same mistake over and over, the mistake isn't the problem. You are.
If you believe it, if you really believe that you could be something, if you have that little voice in your head saying, hey, you got talent, you could do this, then follow that voice.
No one's good at everything. I mean, that's just not the way life works. We're all talented at certain things, but we can really continue to improve our weaknesses if we're humble enough to identify them, and we can build on our strengths. And I think we're all trying to find a more well-rounded aspect to ourselves, but a lot of that has to come with this understanding about yourself, that what you know is very limited and what you don't know is limitless. And you have an opportunity every day to surround yourself with people to help you grow.
We have language, we have consciousness, we have immense powers. Those powers developed under the pressures of necessity, of having to get things done, of having to survive in a very brutal, ruthless world where a leopard could pop out tomorrow and eat me, where there were dangers all around, where food was scarce. And under the pressure, we had to think, we had to be creative, we had to be inventive, we had to be strategic. The human brain evolved under immense amounts of pressure, okay? That's how the brain works.
Don't be afraid of a little bit of refinement. It's not going to make you less of a man, all right? Don't be afraid of looking at and enjoying a bit of art or learning and discovering some poetry. You have a soul, okay? And your soul is what interacts with the world around you. And you don't want that part of you to be dead. A man who goes through life and cannot enjoy the beauty that is in nature, the beauty that is in sculpture, the beauty that is in art, paintings, and the beauty that is in poetry and good writing and stuff, there's a part of him that's just dead. He's just dead. He's not a complete man.
It was like, it really made me reset. And it like what it said to me was, all right, man, we still got to find 100%. You can't run, you can't work out. So that's why I went to school and I became a medic, stuff like that. I started doing all, I literally reset. So I'm always in constant pursuit of my 100%, whatever that is. If I can't run anymore, I want to see what else I can do. So I was real proud of how I handled that. When my whole life got stripped from me, and I was at like 20 years in the military, and my life was getting stripped, man. And I couldn't run, I couldn't work, I couldn't do shit anymore. And I didn't lose my shit. All that training I'd gone through, mental training I'd gone through, I was able to utilize it to find a lot of peace in myself, a lot of joy, and a lot of self-fulfillment.
Before you knew it, through this new attitude, through this new shift that Greg had said to me, you know, focus on what you can control. Focus on what you're getting, not what anyone else is getting. Whenever you get an opportunity, you take advantage of it. You treat it like it's the Super Bowl. You treat it like it's game day. Go out there and treat practice like no one else does. And I did that every single day. And it was a lot. It was taxing on me. There was a lot of stress for me, even in high school. When I look back at those times, it wasn't probably like a typical college experience because I was really motivated to play, but I had to take it to a new level that the other guys wouldn't.
When I listen and I can change, I'm not that guy. We're doing these weird things now that people aren't taking the time to sit and think through. What I've understood is that what people are doing has nothing to do with me. I should always be a step ahead because I'm thinking differently, because I'm thinking about myself. Making myself better puts me in a position to make others better. Be the example, not the problem. The best way to take away the problem is to alienate yourself from it.
I was left alone at a young age to figure this shit out. I figured it out for myself, and it's been very successful for myself. No one's gonna come in here and fuck with my shit. That's why I make sure I will take care of whatever you need. Whatever you need from me, you got it. Money, house, my love, my support, I'm gonna give you everything you need. That said, I do it at the highest level possible. And I'm saying it with Jennifer in the next room. So please come here and say something if it's wrong, Jennifer. I don't give a fuck. Say what you gotta say. So then when it's time for me to go to work, I expect you to do the same for me. Because it takes every bit of me to do what I have to do. So I make sure that I'm very unbalanced for my family so I can be exactly that unbalanced for myself.
Don't stop. Never stop learning. Always reach out to better yourself, because when you do that, things expand. You understand more. You're happier. You're healthier. This old saying that if you don't use it, you lose it, is absolutely true. If you don't use that brain that God put in your head, one of these days you'll be sitting on a front porch somewhere and you won't hardly know what's going on. So don't give up.
My conversation on a weekly basis is I cannot get away from who the fuck I am. Who I am is who I'm proud of. I'm very proud of the hardworking, calloused hands, calloused mind, human being that I literally made this person with a lot of help from above, a lot of guidance from saying you're gonna go left when you should go right. That horrible voice that wouldn't let me get away from myself and hide forever. I listened to it. And the only way you can set the example is you have to always be willing to work. I don't follow people who talk about what they used to do in life. I don't give a fuck what you used to do. I don't care, like, you used to be the best mother. I don't care. What are you doing today? You may not be that person now, but what are you still doing to try to excel in life?
I define learning by same condition, new behavior. And so when you go to a video game and you battle through the level and you battle the boss, if you keep doing the same thing to the boss and you keep losing, then you have not learned, because you have the same condition and the same behavior. And so I often say that, like, for anyone who's listening to this podcast, if the goal is to get better and you're like, man, I really want to learn something from this podcast. If you listen to this podcast and then you're in the same exact conditions as you were before, and then you do not change your behavior, you learned nothing. And so using that definition has at least allowed me to change my behavior faster, which then goes into rate of learning, which I define as intelligence. And so a lot of people are like, man, he's so smart, but he just doesn't. It's like, well, then if he doesn't change his behavior and he's in the same conditions, he's a dummy. He's not that smart. And so if you are trying to battle the same boss over and over again, and you don't change what you're doing, and the boss keeps beating you, then it's not the game's problem. It's your problem. You are the problem.
I didn't care if I died or lived. Wow. Because I was, for the first time in my life, happy. Wow. And at peace. Because I reflected back on where it started.
You said, wow, I have come a long way.
That's right. And no one saved me. It wasn't like someone came down here and guided me through life. When you figure this out on your own, the amount of pride and dignity and self-respect you have, you figure it out by going inside yourself, by callousing over the victim's mentality. You're always a victim, even if you have everything in life, until you realize what you've achieved. You have to first realize what you've achieved.
The idea that self-love is holding yourself to a higher standard than anyone else does, you believing in you more than anybody else does, is such a first principles way of looking at self-love. Okay, so I'm supposed to love myself. I'm supposed to support myself and be my biggest fan. But I don't have the most belief in me. So I'm supposed to have self-love, but I cap my own potential.
Sometimes a tree needs a big windstorm to come through to blow out all the dead branches. And sometimes in your life, you don't realize you've got so many dead branches. And you've got so much, and it takes a storm and it takes the rain in your life for you to be forced to stop and realize that things are amiss.
If you frame things right in your life, if you frame a business challenge as an opportunity to build a stronger team, if you frame a personal challenge as an opportunity to overcome and improve yourself, these things that seem so horrible are actually very positive components of your existence, and they're gonna make you better.
If you want revenge for the bad things that have happened in your life, start with the version of you that hasn't lived up to your potential.
So many of us come from these small places in our mind that we're not willing to think outside of only what we've seen. Our mind works in such a small compartment. And one thing I was able to do was to dream. Many people, but don't make dreams your fucking master. But I was able to dream outside those fucking four walls of that small town. And until you're able to really put yourself into that dream, but don't make dreams your master, that's where you truly become what you're destined to become.
Your life moving in a completely different direction. Because, fear is something that runs people's lives. It makes you avoid, it makes you shrink, it makes you live in silence, it makes you deny what you're feeling. And too often, the fear that we feel the most is we're afraid of what other people are going to say. We're afraid of other people's reactions. Let them have it. Let them be human. When you take responsibility for your truth, and you take responsibility for expressing it, and then you take responsibility for your boundaries, and you take responsibility for your healing, you do have the possibility of living the rest of your life in a completely different way.
It doesn't matter where you are in life. It really doesn't. Because the great thing about life is it's always your next move. Your next move that counts. No matter where you are. You could be, look, I was dead broke, my electric bill was being shut off. And there were people even worse off than I was. It doesn't matter. You could change your life if you want to. It's always your next decision. So it's up to you.
But I'll know. And so even if it does go well, And even if everyone else says it's great, but I'll know. And it'll then rob me of all of the joy of all of those moments in that experience, because I'll know that I could have done better. And the thing is like, to quote myself from earlier, like, I've never regretted working harder, ever, not once. And some people are like, on your deathbed, you're gonna, like, no, because I lived every moment of my day doing what I wanted to do.
You need to fucking work harder. You need to fucking discipline your mind better. We need to help people more than just saying it's okay. It's okay that you're not fucking willing to fucking help yourself out. That's not okay. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. Even though it's your life, if that's acceptable, that's unacceptable. And there's a lot of people in this world, me included, that if I accepted that, I wouldn't be anywhere. So yeah, a lot of people just fucking, they start creating a narrative about themselves that make it okay. The ultimate get out of jail free card. And now the world is set up to have so many get out of jail free cards. Everything is okay. And you can't say a thing about it.
There's a time for leverage, but there's also a time for violence, which is just brute force. People get really obsessed with optimal, which is getting the most bang for your buck, but there's also maximizing, which is just getting the most bucks. You lose more life trying to optimize everything than just living it. The stress of trying to be perfect is killing you more quickly than your imperfections. I'm
misunderstood by people who have plenty of time on their hands to misunderstand me, because they are exactly where I once was, which is a low-life, lazy piece of shit. There's the harsh reality of people who troll you, who go after you. They have nothing better to do with their lives. It's not some after-school special. It's the truth, but once was that way. I know where it all comes from. That's why it's frustrating to me now, because I'm not so frustrated at the fact that I'm being trolled. I'm frustrated by the fact that you don't have the courage to try to be somebody better than what you're not.
Those times when you get up early and you work hard, those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway. That is actually the dream. That's the dream. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And if you guys can understand that, then what you'll see happen is that you won't accomplish your dreams. Your dreams won't come true. Something greater will.
Continue to dream big. Continue to have hopes, ambitions. I've learned to dream with my eyes open. When I see it, I get exposed to it, I want to be it. My job and my responsibility at this point is to give hope to the hopeless, to give inspiration to the uninspired, to motivate the unmotivated. Because it's not lonely at the top if you help somebody else get there.
A lot of us, mediocrity is everywhere right now. And we're all trying to find an easy way out. And we're judging ourselves. Let's say there's 10 people in this room and we're all mediocre. But I'm the best of the mediocre people. I now think I'm great. I'm great. We surround ourselves around people that make us feel great. They tell us what we want to hear. The second we put ourselves amongst the uncommon people, we don't like that feeling, that challenging feeling of that person who's waking up at 3:30 in the morning and say, hey, put your shit on, we're going for a run. We don't like that challenge. We like that person who says, hey, you know, man, I don't feel good today, man. And they say, oh, it's okay, brother. Take a day off, man, we'll get a pizza and shit, watch the game. We like that. We love that feeling. Why? Because you understand, man, we're good, bro. We don't want that this. Hey, man, no, bro. Get your fucking shit on, man. Stop being a punk.
You have to realize, you have to know, you have to accept that all your excuses are lies. They are lies, all of them. Think about the things that you tell yourself, the lies you use to rationalize taking the easy road. Taking the easy road and leaving discipline behind. Think about them.
What's wild about the fear that people have when they're starting out is that they say things like, I have nothing going for me. I have no advantages. I have nothing to my name. I have no money. I have no network. I have no resources. But using Rory Sutherland's reframing, it also means that you have nothing to lose. which makes you incredibly dangerous. And I think people wildly underestimate how many shots on goal you can take when you have nothing to lose. Whereas when someone has something to lose, they have to be more and more selective about the shots they take. And so you have the perfect conditions for taking risk, because the worst case scenario is baseline, is where you're currently at.
A lot of people live their entire lives not fulfilling their purpose. One time in my life I felt that. What was my purpose? Till you find the center of your being, you will continue to walk, going through the motions.
The one companion that's always going to be with you is yourself. Yourself is what you have. And you need to encourage yourself. You need to look around, and you need to be able to say, look, I'm not stuck here unless I choose to stay here. If you don't have somebody who's going to do that, become that somebody.
Every day when you get out of bed, life's standing right there to kick you in the fucking face, man. Life is going to throw all kinds of crazy shit, and you have to be ready for it, and you got to fucking deal with it. You can't curl up into a ball. You can't run away from it. You can't hide. You have to take all this head on. Great things happen and really bad things happen, and you got to take it all in stride. You got to pick yourself up the next day, strap your fucking shoes back on, and get out there and go to fucking war again.
There comes a fucking day where push comes to shove, where being mediocre, being like average and shit just fucking burns. It sucks so much. You can't deal with it one more day, and you get off your fucking ass and you create something that's always been there. It's always been inside of you trying to come out, but you've never wanted to unwrap it because there's too much fucking pain and commitment. You were scared you were gonna fail. You were scared if you started, you never finish it. You didn't want to tell anyone about it. You knew it was there, but you never wanted to remark on it until something fucking hits. You get fired or somebody else gets success, remind you of what you could have been. And then the fucking spark is born.
What I've learned is to always keep going. Always. And I've come to find out is that, no matter what happens, the storm eventually ends. And when the storm does end, you want to make sure that you're ready. And so I've really learned to put one foot in front of the other, good, bad, or indifferent, because eventually that storm passes.
If you don't show up, guys, you know the outcome. You'll never get the job, never get the part, never get the girl if you don't show up. If you show up, you put yourself in a situation to create those opportunities. And when you show up, how hard do you go? That's the faster that opportunity will come to life for you. It's up to you guys. Small down payment that you're willing to pay every day for the large investment of a greater life. You only got one life, guys. If you work it right, you only need one.
I told myself I couldn't quit. I told myself this was gonna happen. This is destiny. Whatever is really burning in your heart, you gotta really believe in yourself. Even when nobody else won't. You gotta believe in yourself and say, I'm not stopping. And I told myself I'd die before I stopped.
When you feel like giving up, don't. When you thinking about giving up, don't. When it look like you ain't gonna make it, keep going. When they tell you you can't, come on, man, who are they? You got to be relentless.
No longer are we gonna accept rhymes and society's rhyme the reason that we are average. Average is a weak mentality. We must believe it so much so that we're arrogant about it. We must be pissed off for excellence. Because last night I was moved to tears. That can happen. And it doesn't happen until you show up. And when you show up, you give it all you have. And if you fall and stumble, you fall forward. You don't fall backwards.